I remember the day this happened so vividly. I was in math class and we were taking our first test of the calendar year, and I got a notification on my iPad from ESPN, and it said that Erik Karlsson has been traded to the San Jose Sharks. And I was not even focused on my test. I was like, I need to finish this thing quickly because I want to read the details about this trade. And then during lunch, I remember all my friends going absolutely ballistic about it, talking about it. And so let's recap about it 4 years later, the Sharks Erik Karlsson trade. And so on September 13th, which was 4 years ago, the San Jose Sharks made an absolutely shocking trade with the Ottawa Senators. And they traded for two-time Norris Trophy winner Erik Karlsson, who is a future Hall of Famer and pretty much widely regarded as one of the best defensemen of the 2010s. And they also traded for forward prospect Francis Perron in exchange for Chris Tierney, Rudolph Balcers, Dylan DeMelo, and former Shark draft pick Josh Norris, as well as a 2020 unprotected first-round pick. Looking back on it 4 years later, who really won this trade? And to decide, let's take a look at who both teams got in that trade. And so let's first talk about the most important part of the trade, I guess, at that time, which was Erik Karlsson. And so in an NHL.com article from early October, it was mentioned that general manager Doug Wilson said that he would be 100% to go for the first time this season after missing significant time in 2 straight seasons with injury. This does not mean that the Sharks received damaged goods, but more along the lines of bad luck. In his 8 years with the Senators, he put up a total of 518 points in 627 games, which pretty much, if you want the breakdown, it's 126 goals and 392 assists, and that basically means he was just under a point per game player. If you do the math, it's 0.82. With the Sharks so far, in his 211 games, he has 142 points, which is 27 goals and 115 assists. And we all knew he was going to be in a reduced role with the team, with veterans such as fellow Norris winner Brent Burns and Marc-Edouard Vlasic to hold up the other end of points for the defenseman. But if all goes well, the Sharks will have 3 top scorers that are on defense. And so therefore, that's a lot of wishful thinking, one might say. So we'll move on to Karlsson a little bit. Let's go to Francis Perron. Perron was really short-lived with the Sharks organization, lasting 1 season with the Sharks AHL team, the San Jose Barracuda. And it did not come without production, though, with him racking up 47 points, which is 18 goals and 27 assists in 63 games. And after that season, during the 2019 draft, the Sharks traded him to the Vancouver Canucks in exchange for Tom Pyatt, who was then released and remains a free agent to this day, as does Perron after he played with the Utica Comets in the 2019-2020 season, putting up 18 points in 42 games. So that pretty much covers it for the San Jose Sharks side. If we move on to the Ottawa Senators, the first piece they got was Chris Tierney. And Tierney was a great plug-and-play guy, where you could put him anywhere from the middle to the bottom 6, and he could easily produce. He put up over 20 points in all 4 seasons with the Sharks, with seasons of 21, 20, 23, and 40 points. He's continuing that streak, with his first season being a career high in points with 48 points. He then had 37 and 26 from the 18-19 season to the 19-20 season, and it's a shame to have lost such a great forward, but it's great to hear that he's still producing at that high level. The second guy they acquired was Rudolph Balcers, and Balcers wasn't a household name purse, but he had 1 season in the AHL with the Barracuda, and based on his numbers with them, he would have done pretty alright with the Sharks. He put up 48 points, which was 23 goals and 25 assists in his only season with the CUDA. With the Sens, in his 2 seasons so far in the NHL, he has 17 points. The third guy they acquired was Dylan DeMelo, and DeMelo has since moved on from the Senators, getting traded at this year's deadline to the Winnipeg Jets, then signing a 4-year extension with them. And DeMelo got his first NHL goal with the Sharks in 2016, and didn't score again until his first season with the Sens, getting 4 goals in 2018-19 along with 18 assists to add up to 22 points. As of what I saw, I may be wrong, I skimmed through this really quickly, guys, but he hasn't had any points with the Winnipeg Jets, but he's played enough on defense to get an extension. And if he was still with the San Jose Sharks, I personally feel that we would not have a hole in the third defense pairing because DeMelo could have easily fit in there and have great chemistry with Mario Ferraro. The fourth guy was Josh Norris, and let me tell you something, this one had to hurt because Norris was arguably the best prospect in the Sharks system since being drafted by the Sharks in 2019 with the 19th overall pick. He was dynamite with the U.S. National Team Development Program, with his last season being his best, having a point-per-game average 61 points in 61 games. And then he played with the University of Michigan, going over a point per game again in his final season, which was 19 points in 17 games. And it becomes obvious that Norris was worth his 19th overall selection at this point, but now he will be moving on to the pros and becoming a very important part of the Ottawa Senators lineup. With his first season in the pros also came the killing blow for Sharks fans after he was traded away. Even in a COVID-19 shortened season, Norris' stat line still showed up in leaps and bounds. He had 31 goals, 30 assists, a total of 61 points in 56 games, a point per game average of 1.08. Again, doing more math. This won him the AHL Rookie of the Year award, and who knows what he's going to do throughout the rest of his NHL career, hopefully with the Ottawa Senators. And last but not least was that 2020 first round pick, because after the Sharks had re-signed Erik Karlsson, that first round pick moved to the year 2020, and it was a high risk because it was unprotected. And thinking about it now, it was a very dumb move because it turned into a lottery pick. The pick was the one that Alex Trebek had made for the Ottawa Senators, and of course, rest in peace to Alex Trebek, and that became Tim Stutzle, who was arguably the most impressive 2020 pick in the 2020-21 season. So now that we are at the end of this trade, if we have to make a verdict, we first have to get a few things across. It would be really hard to say the Sharks would have won the trade because of the fact that now they have a lot of healthy players, and they're bouncing back with guys like Timo Meier and of course a Tomas Hertl, and who knows what Karlsson's going to do. Again, he could put up as many points as he wants to. He has that capability even though he's above the age of 30. But I would definitely say the Ottawa Senators have won this trade. They get Tim Stutzle, who is already becoming an extremely important guy on the team. They already have Josh Norris. Again, we've talked about him. And even though the other three guys are no longer on the team, the Senators are now playoff competitors. They have Claude Giroux. They have Alex DeBrincat. They have all these guys that they traded for and signed in free agency. I think they are ready to compete, and this Erik Karlsson trade has pretty much put them in that position. Thank you guys for tuning in, and have a wonderful day.